It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. I am Tom Papa. Thank you so much for coming along. Glad you made some time and accepted my invitation. Thank you all for listening. It's been really great. We keep expanding our audience and our family, and I really appreciate it. If you don't subscribe, make sure you subscribe, either on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you like it so much that you're moved to leave us a review, that is always a treat, especially if it involves lots of stars and lots of nice things that you like to say. Always important. I thank you so much. We have a great show today with Matteo Lane, who is just an amazing, amazing stand-up comedian. I've been saying for the last couple of years, whenever I'm on other people's shows and doing interviews and they ask who should we be looking out for, anybody funny that you recommend that maybe we don't know about, and I always say Matteo Lane. He is so funny. He's got such a great voice. Not only just a comedic voice, he also has an amazing voice. He can sing like Mariah Carey. I know, it sounds weird, but we did a thing on Live From Here, which was the Prairie Home Companion show on NPR that I was doing for a couple of years. And we had Matteo come on in front of a huge crowd at Town Hall. It was the holiday edition, the Christmas celebration show. And he came out and did Mariah Carey, and he hits the high note, the legendary high note that she hits. It just tore the roof off of the theater. It was so insanely good. But his stand-up, man, you just got to look him up. Look him up on YouTube, wherever you can find stuff. He has a great podcast out with Emma Willman, and he mentions it at the end. I think it's in the closet, out of the closet, around the closet. Something closet. He's hilarious. I really love him. And he's a great artist, too. He's actually a visual artist. And more than anything, those things are nice. Great. He's got some talents. But he speaks fluent Italian. He was raised in an Italian household that taught him how to make all these amazing dishes. And he is a real connoisseur and has a real knowledge of great Italian foods. That's what we're going to get into today with Matteo Lane. A new segment of the show, which I like. I love this. I actually look forward to it all week. I actually think, what am I going to tell my friends about what I'm cooking now, or what I found, or what I ate? And I hope you like it as much as I do. We just started it last week, but this is the portion of the show before we bring our guest on where I let you know exactly what I am into. So I have been on a quest for a great tomato sauce for my whole life. My mother makes an amazing bolognese, amazing sauce. It's very similar to the one that my grandmother made, which was the grandmother on her mother-in-law, basically. But they also had a very similar sauce. I wonder if it cross-pollinated. Anyway, there's a lot of great red sauces out there, 100%. They're all so different. You can do just these little different basic ways of making it, changes the whole end result. So I have been just on this quest of like, why, instead of just blindly using tomatoes, think for a minute. The most important thing I think with all of this is being a little more thoughtful about what you eat, what you buy, what the ingredients are. It makes such a difference. If you just stop, take a breath, and say, well, wait, why am I always just buying a random can of tomatoes and not thinking about it? Which I've done for years. And why do I just do it this way and just throw garlic and oil in and then just throw the tomatoes on top? Like, what? Why am I just doing it this way? There's got to be some other subtle ways. Again, thoughtfulness. So I decided, let's just take some time and do some research and kind of explore. Last time I was talking about focaccia bread, and I know it's redundant, but focaccia. And I explained that I've been diving deep into Marcella Hazan's cookbooks, The Essentials of Italian Cooking. And I started like looking up in this book, and she has all these different sauces in it, and some I haven't even tried yet because I'm just basing it on tomato sauce. She has been such an influence on so many people that the New York Times, after I've discovered this sauce that I'm about to tell you about, the New York Times did this animated little comic book section showing her different sauces. And I was so proud of myself that I had found my way through the cooking world and was digesting and making all of this stuff. And then it came out in the New York Times. It was like, oh yeah. I'm kind of on the inside of this. I'm not, I know what's going on. I don't need you, New York Times, but it's nice of you to tell the rest of the world what I already know. It made me feel good. All right, so I'm going to tell you right now a very specific little sauce. It is so easy that I can literally tell you now without even posting the ingredients. This is just a fun, if you need a quick sauce in like 45 minutes, 50 minutes, this is, it's light, it's sweet, and it doesn't have that heaviness to it. It's not a real thick sauce. I know my buddy Joe loves a thick sauce. There's time for that. We'll discuss that next time. But this one is tomato, onion, and butter. That's it. That's actually the name of the sauce. Tomato, butter, and onion. And all you do, take a little saucepan, get whole tomatoes. I know we had Chris Bianca on the other, in an episode a little earlier in the month. He makes great tomatoes. We went through a whole thing about tomatoes. The whole peeled tomatoes are the best tomatoes. And then they'll crush up the ones. Not that the other ones are bad, but they all have their different uses. For this, you want whole tomatoes. Look, if you live on a farm, you can get the actual plum tomatoes and you skip the can, fine. But if you live most places in America where you just have to go to a grocery store, just get whole peeled tomatoes, 1 can, put them in your little saucepan. Take an onion, peel it, cut it in half of an onion. That's it. Half an onion. Don't chop it up. Just throw it in there in the sauce. And about 3/4 of a stick of butter, 5 tablespoons of butter. It's a lot of butter, but just put it in there. Put it on medium heat. Let it all melt down. Let the butter melt down. As you're stirring it, use your spoon to break apart the whole tomatoes along the side of your little saucepan. And just let it go, and just be careful not to like maul the onion and have that all break up, because it's going to be a little annoying at the end because you're going to discard the onion. So just break up the tomatoes along the side as the butter's slowly going. This is like on a medium to medium low heat. Then it'll start bubbling a little bit. You don't want it to like really scorch up and start boiling, but it will become active. And then you lower the heat down to like medium low after the butter's melted. Stir it every once in a while over 45 minutes, and you just want to keep cooking it down until the oil starts to separate from the tomato. And that's it. Add a little salt, maybe a pinch of pepper, and that is it. After 45 minutes, you take that fusilli, rigatoni. For spaghetti, they say you could use. I like a thicker sauce. I'm with Joe. With the spaghetti, I always like it to be a little thicker sauce. A nice rigatoni, a nice fusilli. It's that kind of a thing. Penne, if you like it. I grew up in New York in the 80s, and I'm so done with penne. It just showed up in so many places. I know you can use it for. It's nice with vegetables and that kind of. No, let's just fusilli or rigatoni for this sauce. And that's it, my friends. Tomato, onion, and butter. You'll be so proud of yourself when you make this sauce. You will be so proud. You'll feel like you are somewhat of an Italian chef. You somehow figured out how to have a little bit of a wrinkle, a little more authentic, a little sweeter, just not your run of the mill, but yet super, super simple. That's my little tip for you today. Oh, you're going to be so happy. Next time we'll talk about other sauces, but this is a sofrito is a sauce where you start off with onions, olive oil, onions, chopped up onions, and you get that going until they're golden, and then you throw in chopped up carrots and celery, salt and pepper. That's sofrito. It's your base, and then that's only for like another minute when you add those final two ingredients. And then you go into this other sauce, which you'll add tomatoes and it'll cook down and it'll be a little thicker. But we'll spend a little more time with that and we'll learn what sofrito is and all that other stuff. Look, kids, I'm learning as you're learning. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I'll tell you the things that I really like and have been working on for years. And you're going to really, really love this one. Okay, so we're going to talk to Matteo Lane, hilarious comedian, as I said. And we're going to pick his brain on what his favorite dishes are. Every time I'm making something and I feel like I've nailed it, I'll take a picture and I'll send it to Matteo because I know he won't just compliment it. If it looks off, he'll tell me why. If he's impressed, he'll say so. But he's tough to impress, and after this conversation, you'll see why. All right, here is Matteo Lane. Well, it's so funny because you're one of the people who I think about a lot whenever I'm cooking Italian food, which is the thing that I always cooking. So that means I think about you a lot.
Good.
But I also don't go too completely insane and try and work out and whatever. But you are dialed in your health in a whole nother level. But then the stuff that you'll show me that you're making is completely decadent.
Well, I think so a couple. Are we recording, by the way? Have we started, by the way?
Yeah, we started a while ago.
All right. Let me quickly get on. No. So I started to diet and exercise probably 4 years ago. My sister is like an international fitness bodybuilder. She's a nutritionist and she knows everything about just weightlifting and diet and what you need to do if you want to achieve a certain look. So I've figured out through her how often I have to eat, when I have to eat, and then also lifting a lot of weights. I mean, I'm not huge. I photograph much larger than I am in real life, but when you lift a lot of weights, you're kind of allowed to, I can have pasta every other day, or I can have carbonara or spaghetti alla matriciana or whatever, because it's like, oh, I know tomorrow I'm doing legs and I'm on my diet.
So wait a minute. So whenever I made baked ziti yesterday. Mm-hmm. My wife wanted baked ziti, which is it's really an Italian American dish.
They have baked ziti they have like pasta al forno, like oven pasta. It exists in Italy.
It does? Okay. Mm-hmm. I always picture it's just straight out of New Jersey.
That's true. But some New Jersey dishes, like a lot of Italian American dishes, stem from something from the old country, right? So you'll find it just changed because ingredients change.
Yeah, but there's always that there's always that New Jersey, I wouldn't say guilt, but humility, where it's kind of like, so the statue of David comes from Italy. All of this great artwork and sculpture comes, and then as Colin Quinn says in his act, and then some guys in New Jersey just take copies of all of it and put it in their front lawn around within a fence. So there's like the Jerseyfication of all
Italian.
That stuff. Yeah,
for sure.
So we'll get into dishes and all that stuff in a second, but sticking with we made this giant baked ziti. I also had sausages on the side. It was bread, a whole thing. So my thinking today is, then I should get on the bike and just go for an hour on the Peloton. But you're saying the weights is the way to go?
Well,
will that burn more?
Well, weight and cardio is a good combo. Diet's the key if you're trying to find success. Like if you want to lose weight, gain muscle, whatever. However, I am trying to gain muscle, and I'm lifting a lot of weights, and I'm lifting a lot of heavy weights, and I focus and isolate muscle groups. So, I separate my weight muscles, and it varies. But like for example, like today I did arms, which is biceps and triceps. Tomorrow I'll do chest, and I'll do abs, and then the next day I'll do legs, and so you kind of isolate your muscle groups, and when you lift weights, you're sort of tearing your muscle fibers apart, and then they rebuild, and that rebuilding is what's burning more fat, because it's using your body's fat to like build up new muscles. So I believe, I'm not an expert, but I believe that running, for example, or riding the bike, you're losing weight in that moment. Like you're losing calories in that moment, but when you stop, it's done.
Right.
So lifting weights is a good way of balancing that. So like that's why you'll see a lot of people at the gym doing 20 minutes of cardio and then 20 minutes of weights, because it's a nice balance for your body.
It's so funny that your goal is so you can get amazing pictures for your Instagram and
Laid.
look great. And I get laid, and I just want to pretty much all that working out is just so I could stay the same while stuffing my face with baked ziti.
I know. I do. My Aunt Cindy makes a great baked ziti.
Oh, really?
My Aunt Cindy's red sauce. Yeah. I love baked ziti. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
So tell our listeners what your Italian heritage is.
So my heritage. Okay. So, well, can I tell you? There's a strange story to this, right? So I grew up culturally Italian. My mother is culturally 100% Italian mother with a Sicilian father. However, my real grandfather is Mexican. So my mother's actually Italian and Mexican. And my mom, I think until she was like probably 12, grew up half Italian culture, half Mexican culture, right? Just like either they're speaking Spanish or they're speaking Italian, whatever. My grandpa, my original grandfather, who's Mexican, had 5 kids with my grandma. And I don't know how many kids with the other woman, but he did name most of them the same name so he didn't confuse them. So my grandma divorced him. And then when she remarried a Sicilian. So my mom was like 12. So by the time I was born, I just had an Italian life. And I grew up in the same block as all my cousins and stuff. My grandpa's Sicilian. Our family's from Montevago, which is province of Agrigento in southwestern Sicily.
Okay.
And then my grandma's family is Napolitan. They're all Naples.
Right.
So Campania region of Italy.
What age did you find out there was some Mexican in there?
I knew because my mom was she was honest all the time, because my dad's 100% Irish, but not like the fun Irish where like he's like, oh, tatar, like they've been here forever. Their families, they're just like white people. Like they don't talk to each. Like I saw my cousins once a year, just like complete opposite my mom's family. I lived with my cousins, and I knew since I can remember, because my mom didn't talk to her dad when she was from 12 till she was 30, maybe. Whoa. And then her and her sisters wanted answers and found their father and actually kind of got close to him again, and against the wishes of my grandmother. And before he died, he would send me letters on my birthday or on Christmas, and so I would get, his name is Joaquin Maldonado, but I would get a letter from Jack Maldonado, and he didn't know me at all. He would send me Big League Chew gum. Like if he knew me, he'd put in ruby red slippers. But but I didn't know most of my life that I'm Mexican, and it wasn't until the past 5 years that I've really been more invested in trying to figure out like, well, where are we from in Mexico, and more about our family. And so my mom's my grandpa, my Mexican grandpa, gave my mom photo albums of all of our family in Mexico, all our cousins, our aunts, our uncles, and stuff.
Wow.
We did 23andMe, and so it did specify we're from Guanajuato, and we're so wow. I'm getting closer to finding more about my Mexican heritage, but my Italian heritage, I speak Italian. I know my family in Italy. Like that's a whole different thing.
How did you? Okay, but where were you born?
Chicago, Arlington Heights, the suburb northwest side of Chicago. So
how come you get to speak Italian and go to Italy all the time, and all I have is grazie?
First of all, it's grazie.
See?
I started going to Sicily. We have family friends in Sicily, in Messina, and because my family in Sicily is like all in their early hundreds, and all they do is talk about the earthquake that happened 60 years ago. That's it. When you visit them, and they're so Sicilian in true Sicilian form. The town is like 100 people, but when you visit them, they don't they don't have they didn't rebuild the town over the ruins. They left all the ruins and then just rebuilt a town next to it, so that when you go, they just bring you right to the old town to be like, this is where everyone died.
Oh God.
My uncle Calogero, who just passed a couple years ago, I visited him, and I mean, I love my family, but it's just they're old and they just
Sure.
talk, So I would go to Messina where everyone's young and they're basically my cousins. Everyone's my age, and you go to the beach and hang out and dance and stuff. So I started going around 15 or 16 when I was some
Right.
time around that age. Yeah, and I would just stay all summer, and you just have to learn
Ah.
Italian.
So it's really that your mom, gave you better vacations.
Yeah, she was like, "Oh, you want to go to Italy? Okay."
Did she speak Italian in the house?
No, she doesn't really even speak Italian. My
Wow.
my grandparents, they grew up speaking different dialects. So
Right.
like Sicilian and Napolitan, you can't communicate with each other. Like those languages
That
are
far apart.
Oh, it's literally like saying one is Greek and one's Mandarin. I mean, they're so if you're interested, if your listeners are interested, Italy has, I believe, 54 official languages, which
Whoa.
are considered quote unquote dialects. However, those dialects are not all Italo-Dalmatian, whatever that means, like Italian-based languages. So like Sicilian dialects, which are all different based off where you live, are more influenced by Greek, Arab, Spanish. There's other languages
Right.
in there.
Yeah.
So, like everyone in Italy speaks two languages: their dialect and then Italian. And
Oh.
like for example, in Italian, if you say like a really beautiful, like if you're referring, like my goddaughter, my grandpa always calls my goddaughter una bella picciotta, which is not Italian. He's trying to say una bella giovanotta, but in Italian, it's Sicilian, it's bella picciotta. I'm like, I don't like in Sicily we don't
Any
say
idea?
it makes and in Sicily instead of for him and her is Louis and lei, right? So Louis means him. Well, in Sicily they say idu.
Edu.
Yeah, so it's like it's another language.
Oh,
So my
geez.
grandparents, my grandma, I think her first language obviously was Italian, but then you just stop speaking it after a while because it's like, well, I have to communicate with my husband. So
Well, I always fantasize about being able to speak Italian and learn Italian, and I always say to you and Liz, and I'll text a word that I find on Google Translate once in a while, but it's almost like, where do you even start? I guess maybe I should just take like the Roman dialect, so I could hang out in
just
Rome.
the Tuscan Rome, they speak Italian. I mean, Romanacci would be like you'd be hard pressed to see people in the center of Rome speaking Romanacci at you.
Right.
They'll just speak Italian.
Right.
But the Tuscan dialect is quote unquote the true Italian, because Dante was the originator of the Italian language, and he based it off the Tuscan dialect, which was a dirty form of Latin. Blah blah blah. So if you want to learn it, if you learn Italian like in a schooling or with a tutor or whatever, or like Italian TV, they are speaking the Tuscan Italian.
Okay. Grazie.
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 There you go.
Jeez.
I know.
Such a slow start.
You should take lessons or get a tutor or something.
Yeah, I know. And my daughter's in college now, and she's taking Italian. And but I thought that was going to be a help. But I think she might just be smoking weed because she doesn't seem to know any more than I do after a full semester.
It's just the problem with languages, because I, in theory, speak almost 4, 5. Like I can communicate in a good amount of languages.
Yeah.
But the trick is you really just have to all the time be listening and speaking it. I mean, that's the only way you can do it. I don't, people like try and buy a book or try and do, it's like I lived with a Mexican girl for 2 years, Felicia, and I just said to her, I'm like, just speak Spanish to me. Don't speak any English, just speak Spanish. So every day I came home, your brain it's like, okay, you're just gonna start speaking Spanish,
Right.
Spanish TV, and now I'm fluent in Spanish.
Thank God, because you found out you were Mexican.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank Wine Access for sponsoring this episode of Breaking Bread. Wine Access curates some of the best wines at exceptional values. They make it easy to explore new regions and varietals. Check out my favorite varietals today through my special page, wineaccess.com/Papa, P-A-P-A, and use the code PAPA, P-A-P-A, to receive $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more. We'll talk more about wine later. I love these guys. They are really helping me explore wines, and I want them to help you do the same. And now, on with the show. Okay, that's one and two. It's no secret how much I love wine. I have been exploring it and learning about it, but it is a huge undertaking, and it's nice to have my good friends at Wine Access helping me along the way. They curate some of the best wines at exceptional values, and it makes it easy for you to explore new regions and varietals. They just sent me a bunch of wine, and they're amazing. They're so great. And they send these write-ups on every bottle. So it really describes, I mean, like I've always said, all great wines come with a great story. And to really learn exactly where it comes from, who's making it, it really ties you into it and makes the experience even better. They just sent this bottle of Diego Conterno. I don't know if you can see it if you're watching on the YouTubes. It's this Nebbiolo, which is, they call it a baby Barolo. Holy cow. Not an expensive bottle of wine. You know, that's what happens. I walk in and I think, well, if it's going to be good, I just got to pay through the nose. No. This is like having a sommelier be your friend. They send me this bottle. It's not an expensive bottle of wine at all, but it is as exciting as a expensive bottle of Barolo, which is this Italian region. It uses the Nebbiolo grape. And this, we just popped it open at dinner. We were just doing a quick Sunday dinner. We popped this open. It changed everything. It changed the whole night. So great. Never would have found it without my good pals at Wine Access. Oh, and this Pinot Gris, look at this. This is called Trimbach. It is, I don't dive into the white wines all that much, but holy cow, if you're on a Saturday and you just want to pair this with some lunch, holy Toledos. Just two examples. I'm not kidding. I can't tell you how valuable this whole experience has been and continues to be. And I hope they stay a sponsor for a very long time, because there's nothing. You need friends in life. You need a doctor friend. You need a lawyer friend, and a wine friend. So go to wineaccess.com. And you can check out my special page, all the wines that I liked through my experience with these folks. It's at wineaccess.com/Papa, and you can see, that's the landing page where you'll be able to see all of my special wines. And if you want $20 off your first purchase of $50 or more, don't forget wineaccess.com/PAPA for $20 off. That's $20 off. Go to wineaccess.com/Papa. P-A-P-A. And truly, as we're marching into the holidays and you're sitting at home and you're wondering what we're going to do and how you're going to celebrate and how you're going to make it special, this is a no BS organization that will just make things better. Thank you, Wine Access. So was your mom cooking a lot of Italian, or did you learn that from going to Sicily?
Oh, no. My mother is a very good cook.
Oh,
and
yeah.
her sisters, my aunts, are all good cooks.
Oh,
I grew up
nice.
in the kind of house that I love to cook, and my sister's a brilliant cook. Like homemade butter and ricotta and bread and cake.
Wow.
I mean, she does everything. But growing up, I mean, I think it depends on how you're raised. Like, I'm dating this guy right now who, when he looks at a kitchen, I just see fear in his eyes. Like, he has,
Yeah.
he looks, it's almost almost like he's looking at like a sex dungeon for the first time. Just like, what is,
I've never been in there.
well, you've not lived.
No,
But
I'm saying that's him looking at the kitchen. It's like, why is this even a part of the apartment?
essentially, yeah, the other day he was like, "You can make pasta at my house." I said, "Do you have a strainer?" Yeah, yeah. And then it was one of those like small like mesh strainers. I was like, "It's just." Anyways, but
Yeah.
growing up, I'm 34, my sister's 35, my brother is 36,
Okay.
and we were all like little ducklings in a row. And every single night, my mother would line us up, no matter what she was making. We made it with her. So,
Wow.
and things like pizza, like she made it fun. She made it so fun. Like we'd put the dough and the yeast, and you'd watch it rise, and then she'd let us, decorate the pizza however we wanted. And I'm
Right.
sure they all were shit after,
Yeah.
but making meatballs and making brajol and making red sauce, and
Right.
and made food something that wasn't like fuel. She made food that was not comforting, but like it. And same with my Aunt Cindy, because every Sunday we go to my Aunt Cindy's house for red sauce. It was like there's tradition, and there's it's family oriented, it's fun oriented, it's where we communicate, it's where we joke, it's where we talk, it's where
Right.
it really, that I think is the most Italian thing that's been passed down from Italy to my family, is food is the center of the home, and you should care for it.
Right. Yeah, and it's how you communicate. It's everything. I mean, that's really when I had after school, I went around and I was playing around and I stopped eating meat. And I had a couple run-ins with meat that were kind of gross, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to be a vegetarian. I'm going to stop this for a while. And I was about like a year and a half living in New York. I walked into an Italian deli, and my whole life just came roaring back. And that life is filled with prosciutto and salami and pepperoni and cheeses and and I was like, this is greater than whatever I'm trying to do with trying to clean up and be a vegetarian. But it was so connected. It wasn't a dietary thing. It was, this is my life, and I had so
Right.
much love and joy from all of that. How can you deny that?
Well, there's something about like there's something in cooking that is more meaningful and sentimental than a photo, right? So if I'm making red sauce, I know that every hand movement that I'm making and the smells that I'm smelling were passed down from generation to generation to generation. So
Right.
it's almost like when I'm making that and putting the pasta in and I'm getting ready to eat it, that's closer to being with a dead relative or my bees nonna, or like
Yeah.
it's a closer connection to your heritage, which actually, certain cultures that remind me of Italian culture in that sense. Greeks, obviously, Greeks are super close to Italians, but Mexicans. Living with Felicia for so long and being with her family, everyone's Mexican and they're all from Mexico. It's very similar. Cousins coming over, siblings all
Right.
similar age. Cooking is central to home. Tradition, it's like, oh God,
Yeah.
yeah. Like there's so much similarity between, and then Italian's a Latin culture, obviously, but like those cultures have a lot of blending to me.
Yeah. When you go to make a red sauce, this has been my quest for the year, because I've always been making it. I was taught from my grandmother and mother, and like it's always been part of the thing. And then, but now I've been like this year have been dialing in, why whole tomatoes, why crushed tomatoes, why do you need paste? Do you start with a sofrito? Do you start what's the basis for it? And I've kind of like boiled it down. What is your go-to red sauce?
So for those listening who are American and might need to know the difference, right? So typical American sauce is usually referred to what the Italians call un ragu. So like a ragu, like a long cooked sauce that cooks for all day, usually meat based with a sofrito with tomato paste. It's kind of a layered sauce that you allow to cook.
Right.
When I'm cooking like a quick red sauce, which is un pomodoro, which just means tomato,
Right.
I do really, really simple ingredients. I mean, I usually only make pasta pomodoro because it's just too long with the red sauce and this. There's one person living here, so it's like
Right.
so I use I go to Italy and I get what's called muti passata, which is just pureed tomato, but it's from the company Muti, which is the most popular brand in Italy. It's literally just pureed tomato.
Uh-huh.
And I saute in olive oil 4 garlic cloves, just lightly smashed. I don't chop them, just smash them, full garlic cloves.
Yeah.
Cook that with a little peperoncino, which is red pepper flakes, and then basil. Cook that together for like 2 minutes. Put in my muti, salt, pepper, and then a little bit of the pasta water, and then let that boil with the lid on for 15 minutes. Then put it on simmer, and then just take my pasta directly from the water into the sauce, really, really al dente, like with a bite, and
Yeah.
let that cook for 2 more minutes, and then I put a little pecorino romano on top.
Perfect. Perfect. I've been really excited by this Marcella Hazan. She's this great Italian cookbook writer, and she had this sauce: plum tomatoes, whole tomatoes, about a 3/4 a stick of 5 tablespoons of butter, and half of an onion, and just put that in together, and just break up the tomatoes with your spoon as you're cooking it over 45 minutes. Just a little salt, maybe a little pepper, and that's it. It's this totally transformative light sweet because it has that onion. And of course, you take the big onion out. You don't even chop it up. It's just half of an onion.
Yeah.
And I was so blown away that after all these years of like thinking you know what sauce is, and then just this simple, just putting these 3 things together, I was like, oh my God, this is endless. This is literally endless. And like what you described is like, that's just a little wrinkle in how you do it. And I know it would be great and still kind of different.
Yeah, I think too, you have to remember that a lot of these American Italian dishes we're dealing with in Italy, everyone does things a little differently based off where they're from in Italy, and everything's regional, right? So the way they make red sauce in Naples is completely different than they make it in Milan versus
Right.
Sicily, and even like lasagna in Naples is a completely different dish than lasagna from Bologna.
Oh, yeah.
Bologna with the bechamel and with the spinach pasta sometimes, and fresh pasta, and then Naples is more what we're familiar with like ricotta cheese and red sauce and hard
Right.
pasta, and and one thing that's hard to stress too to people that don't understand pasta is they think it's just cook the pasta and pour a sauce on top, and it's like, no, you have to like dry pasta and fresh pasta, neither one's better than the other. They're just
Right.
used for different sauces. So a parpadelle or tagliatelle would go with a bolognese, not like a pesto. You would use a specific
Right.
pasta for pesto. Like carbonara can only be used with dry pasta, and it has to be spaghetti or rigatoni or sometimes bucatini. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
You could never use a fresh pasta with carbonara. You can only use guanciale. You can only use pecorino romano. You can only,
Yeah.
they have all these rules, and I think that all became messed up when it got to America, where people thought just like, I'll have fettuccine alfredo with, and it's like, oh, okay.
I know it really, it really just gets pretty awful. The you always say carbonara. Is that is that your favorite thing to make?
Carbonara would be my favorite dish in the world, yeah. And
Yeah.
specifically from this place in Rome called La Freschetta di Francesco di San Angelo. I forget the Castel di San Angelo, whatever. Freschetta di Castel di San Angelo, I think is the name of it. But they make this carbonara. I follow them on Instagram. I'm obsessed. It
Really?
is- oh my God. It's like, it's like that. I literally, when I go to Italy, I pay $1,200 to just eat that fucking stuff. I get an Airbnb. I get a fucking plane ticket. I pack. I'm sleep deprived for that bowl of pasta, and I get it every day. If I'm in Rome
Every
for a
day?
week- every day. If I'm in Rome for a week, I eat at that restaurant every single day because I know that I can't get it here in America. It's impossible.
Why? Why can't you? There's even all these great places in New York.
Not a single place in Manhattan has been able to replicate carbonara the same way they make it in Rome. Not
Oh
a
my God.
single place. I've yet to, and I've scoured the internet. I
Well, what
can't.
about when you make it?
It's amazing.
You must be trying to get close to what you're eating over there.
I learned from these group of Italians called Carbo Gang. They're like 3 guys. They live in Milan, and they only make carbonara. Their whole Instagram is carbonara, and they have like a carbonara kit, Carbo Gang. And when I was in, and I follow them, of course. And so when I was in Italy 2 years ago, I was doing a tour, a comedy tour with Francesco Di Carlo from Milan, Florence, and Rome. When I was in Milan, I messaged them and said, I'm in Milan. I said, where can you recommend great carbonara? And they said, come to our house. I said, okay. So me and my boyfriend at the time showed up at their apartment. It's these 3 super hot young Italian guys. They're like 25, you know.
Right.
And they brought us in and they just made this, they don't know who the fuck I am. And they made us this giant carbonara, all of us. And I got they said, do you want rigatoni or do you want spaghetti? And I said, I want spaghetti. And they showed me everything. They said, this is how you do it, step by step, by step, by step. And of course, we ate it. It was amazing. So now I make it the way the Carbo Gang makes their carbonara.
Wow. And how is it?
So carbonara is a dish that has like 5 ingredients. That's it. And it's just your dry pasta, right? So spaghetti or rigatoni, guanciale, which is from the cheek of the pig, and it has to be guanciale. It cannot be bacon. It cannot be pancetta. It specifically has to be guanciale. If you can't get it, order it.
It's interesting because a lot of times, and maybe because it's difficult to find, I'll see pancetta is like they'll recommend pancetta sometimes.
If you're in a huge pinch, again, I'm just gonna say, if you want the real carbonara, you need to get
I'm
guanciale.
not questioning you.
Yeah.
And I'm blaming them when I say it.
Well, I get it, because it is hard to find. Like, this woman one time messaged me. She's like, I live in Minnesota. We don't have guanciale. And I was like, Google, bitch. Amazon that shit. So pasta, guanciale, pecorino romano. It has to. That's the type of cheese. Not Parmesan. Not pecorino romano. It can't be pecorino da Toscano. Deve essere pecorino romano. Then pepper. And then egg yolk. That's it.
That's it.
No cream, no milk, no garlic, no olive oil, no peas, no onion, no nothing.
Oh, interesting.
That's it. And what you do is you take your guanciale, like thick bacon strips, and I cut them up small so they're like thin, like small little like rectangles. I don't know how you would describe it.
Yeah.
And then saute there's so much fat in guanciale, you do not need to saute them in oil. Just on a very, very, very low heat.
Right.
Saute the guanciale, and while that's sauteing, because it's gonna really crisp up, you're gonna take, for 2 people, I would use 4 egg yolks, and then mix it with, I don't even know, I don't measure anything. I'm guessing a half a cup of pecorino romano, and then mix that together and create a paste, pepper, and then as your pasta is boiling, once it releases that starch, take a little bit of that pasta water, bring it into your cream mix, and start to mix it quickly so it creates a creamy texture.
Right.
So that way you don't have scrambled eggs when you bring your pasta in.
Right. The pasta water. That's another thing. Like, I've been cooking my whole life. Everything. Exactly. Only in the last couple of years have I been like, oh, this is a valuable tool. I was usually used to just dumping it down the drain.
No, gold. It's gold. It's gold.
Yeah.
The pasta is the main part of the meal. The sauce is to complement the pasta. And Americans confuse that by drowning overcooked pasta in sauce. And what you're supposed to do is have that sauce just perfectly coat the pasta. Pasta is more like a steak. It's like you want to al dente obviously means to the tooth, but you want to bite it to really have a great firm texture to it. That's what the pasta is. I think it was like a filet mignon more than anything.
Right.
So even with carbonara, like bring in that pasta water, so that pasta water, that starch helps the pasta and the sauce come together.
Right. right. Oh man, there's got to be so many recipes that add all the stuff that you were saying it doesn't need. The garlic, the olive oil.
Americans, there's a great. You have to watch this. It's on YouTube. Just type in chefs watching carbonara. It's all in Italian. I'm sure you can do captions, but
Yeah.
it's these 3 Roman chefs watching different YouTube videos of people making carbonara, who are just royally fucking it up. And they just pause and they look at each other. Ma allora, ma questo ragazzo, ma sempre con aglio, non capisco perché ci sono. Like, they're just screaming at each other. And then they'll, like, some recipes are kind of going okay. And then you'll see them add in peas and all the chefs are like, ah! You know, like in Italian, like, he was so close. Why are they ruining it?
It's so funny. Oh man, where are you gonna go with Keith and Liz this week?
So we've been doing these like weekly dinners, which of course you're more than welcome to come. But you're in LA, right?
I'm in LA.
Yeah. But we've been doing me, Keith, Dante, Liz, Joe DeRosa, poor Joe, just getting eaten alive.
Everywhere he goes.
We'll just pick random places, usually Italian. Keith likes Italian. But I went finally last week. I took him to this place called Piccola Cucina, which is, I think, my favorite Italian restaurant in New York.
Oh, in Soho, on the way to Soho.
Yeah. And
I've
it's
been there.
so fucking good. And everyone's
So
from
good.
Italy. And so Keith was furious because it was so good. He's like, you fucking motherfuckers, you've been keeping this a secret from me. Fuck you. And then he would eat something else. He's like, God damn it, this shit's so good. I'm so fucking pissed at you. You don't fucking... And then we're going to go back this week to Piccola Cucina.
Oh, that's amazing. You know, at a certain point, before COVID, they would, it gets to like 10, 11 o'clock. They pump up the music. Have you ever been there when it like all of a sudden becomes like a thing? Yeah, it becomes this whole thing. My wife came in once and she flew in. She had a horrible flight. I'd been in New York for a bit and she flies in. It's all turbulent. She's a little nauseous. She's not feeling great. I'm like, let's just go to Piccolo. We'll just have a nice dinner. She's like, okay, let's go. And she's getting over her nausea and we're eating. We got there kind of late, and all of a sudden they close the open windows. They close all that. They crank up the music, and there's this Italian music just going. The place turns into a party, and our waiter, this like good-looking waiter, comes over, and my wife, you know, was a dancer, and I know he could tell. You know, a dancer's always a dancer. He comes over. She's nauseous. Takes her hand. Next thing I know, I'm taking a video of her spinning like a top in front of the fire pit, in front of the kitchen. And she's like really kicking ass and she's like high kicks and she's doing the whole thing. And she sat back down. Her nausea was gone. We had the second course.
That's so funny. Oh my God. Yeah. Italians are so wild. I was with my friend Trey. We were having dinner at this pizza place called Napule. And they're all from Naples, and it was so funny because like just speaking Italian to somebody, like the waiters and stuff, like you are instantly connected to somebody, like instantly.
Yes.
He said, he was like, oh, it's so cool to think that like you're like in this like club, like the fact that you just speak. Obviously, I look super Italian too, but he was like the fact that you just say something in Italian, it's like boom, doors open to you.
Exactly.
Never been opened otherwise.
I know, and I'm outside that door trying to say grazie.
Grazie. Think yay. Like
Grazie mille.
Sì.
See. There was a little like, yeah, you're trying in that.
No, grazie mille. A million thanks. Or a 1,000 thanks or whatever, yeah.
Right. Well, man. Well, this was great. This was the most informative Italian thing that I've had on the show so far. Yeah, 100%. And
I want to do a show on the Food Network called Your Pasta Sucks, and we just travel around and learn how to actually make pasta.
That would be amazing. You ever make gnocchi?
Gnocchi I've only made once, and it was a Roman gnocchi, so it was not like the traditional gnocchi.
Okay. That's going to be my next thing, I think.
I love gnocchi, but they're a bitch to make, and
they're hard.
This is gonna sound so highfalutin. I was in Tuscany with Aziz, and he at this villa, and he has this woman come in. Her name was Graziella, and she was like this old school Italian like nonna, and she made us all of our meals. And so she was making gnocchi. So I said to her, I was like, "Can I come in the kitchen and watch you? I want to watch you make gnocchi." And this fucking old million years, she's like in her early hundreds. She started making gnocchi, and it was so quick and fast and natural as she was doing it. I was like, "How is this happening?" It was so good. Oh my god, butter sage sauce. Woo.
Oh, forget it. Oh my god. All right, well, we're gonna wrap up right now. This was perfect. This was absolutely perfect. I'm gonna have you on again because I'm gonna go find Guanciale here in Los Angeles.
Go to Italy, and then I think there's a Osteria Angelina. There's some Italian restaurant that they make a great carbonara in LA, and I only eat there.
Oh, all right. Text me that.
Yeah, I have to text my manager. She remembers the name of it. It's really good.
All right, cool. Do you want to plug anything? Anything going on?
You can listen to me on my podcast with Emma Willman called Inside the Closet.
Amazing.
And catch me on Instagram naked.
All right, I can't wait to see the new shots.
Yeah, they're coming.
All right, thank you, Matteo. You're the best.
Sure, no big deal.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's our goal. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show. Hey.